Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ray Reynolds from Repackage America. We're here to do our turnkey class. This is the one regarding real estate. Now, there's a lot of things we need to do on real estate. How many of you want to buy real estate under a corporation? Okay? Now, you're going to have a hard time. Everybody's going to tell you no. Everybody wants to gouge you. Everybody wants to take advantage of you. How many of you are in the mortgage business? Okay? There they are, the gougers. Okay? Well, let's be honest. We want to go buy a piece of property. We look at a piece of property. We deal with an agent. The agent shows us what they want to show us. Is that correct? Not really what we want, but what they want to show us. Do they show us their listings more than anything? See, they don't want to split their commissions 3 ways. Okay? They want their 6%. They want to split it with their broker or something. So the problem is, everywhere you turn around, somebody's going to say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Do you know that Newport Beach, 84% of the houses there on the water are owned by corporations? Do you know that Chase Manhattan Bank and Bank of America are most of the lien holders on those houses? Okay? That's how it works. We can buy properties under corporations. We can buy them under divisions. The difference is we have to choose how to buy the property. Now, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about, from profit to non-profit. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass out a book to you at this time. So we get you to this book, and we want to go page by page. A lot of this is going to talk about non-profit, profit. Now, who in this room is considering non-profit? Okay, who's considering profit? So probably about an 80-30, maybe 70 split, somewhere around there. So we got to discuss both. Now, why would we want non-profit? Probably because we can avoid property taxes. Okay, if you're buying real estate, I want you to look at several things. I want you to take a calendar, and I want you to start working the goals. When you work the goals, especially in real estate, you're going to circle September and July. What we're going to realize is July 1st to the end of September is when you can have property taxes reevaluated. Okay? Every year, July 1st to September, we can reevaluate property taxes. When real estate goes down, we reevaluate to save on property taxes. When it goes up, we reevaluate, but we don't let them know we're reevaluating, because we don't want them to change property taxes. When we change properties, the deeds, they can reassess some taxes as well. So it's pretty important for us to make sure the things that we do based on real estate. Now, let's go back to some past for me. I had 16 properties. In the past, I used to buy, and I still buy, all those info commercials out there. I always wanted to figure out which would be the best one. There was one years ago called Ed Beckley. Does anybody remember Ed Beckley? He'd sell an infomercial. He'd say, buy real estate. No problem. We have Carlton doing real estate. No problem. From here, there was one called Wayne Phillips. They called him the credit card millionaire. Does anybody remember that one? So all of a sudden, I look at these things, and I'm reading them and go, to me, they didn't give me much value. Okay? I just wanted to know, how could I buy real estate in a different way? I found myself backed into a corner. I had 16 properties in my name. 16 properties in my name, and I found out every time that someone slipped, fell, they wanted to sue me. Every time they wouldn't pay the rent, I had a problem. When I went to go buy the 17th property, I had a bigger problem. You can't afford it. Your loan to value is too high. Okay? Even though I had them all rented out, they said I couldn't afford it. Well, that's not fair. They're rented out. So what we've got to realize is sometimes we'll buy properties under us, sometimes the corporation, sometimes the division. As we go through this process, we have to figure out what type of corporation we're going to pick. So as we go through this, what we're looking to do is to figure out how things need to be done. As you know, we always trademark the things that we do as well. Okay? And we copyright these things, and we'll be improving this as we go through our process. You know, it's like number 4. What kind of corporation do you want? Preparing your corporation, registering the forms. Preparing the corporation continues. Many benefits of nonprofit, it goes down the list. Are we going to buy properties from HUD? Okay? Are we going to buy properties from states or cities? Tax liens. There's so many ways to look at properties. Are you going to buy foreclosures? Are you going to buy something that has somebody carry some money back? Are you going to help people save their properties or lease it back to them? So the options that we do, we have to go through this process. So we basically have right now about 48 steps that we want to use for properties. As we go through this, it's pretty important. We know we have to pick the type of corporation. Now, why would we pick nonprofit? Nonprofit would have a 501c3 exemption. That is a federal exemption. That would give us the ability to do 203k through HUD. And HUD is very important to do. First-time buyer. If you look at 203k, they allow people to do it, or they allow corporations to do it nonprofit. But investment companies, they don't allow to do it at all, because they don't let them do it because they'll take over all the properties. So if you do nonprofit, it must be in the state you live in. And currently we're here in California. That means we have to do a California corporation nonprofit. If we do a nonprofit corporation, it would be filed in California. A lot of people talk about Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming. But realize you're going after an exemption. What if you set up a nonprofit corporation and you don't get the exemption? Your corporation is known for a corporation not for profit. Believe it or not, a corporation not for profit gets more corporate credit and gets lower interest rates. So, also, if you get the exemption under the 1023 for the 501c3, you now can basically waive state fees, franchise tax fees, property taxes, certain things that we do. So if you're going to consider a nonprofit, you've got to figure out, because I want to do maybe a thrift store, maybe do real estate, okay? Maybe debt consolidation. Learn to do all kinds of stuff that brings in the money. But that's for the nonprofit. And we're going to go through some more steps of that. From there, if you're going after profit, you're just going after one thing, money. Okay? We're going after money. Now, as we buy properties, should we buy them under the corporation, or should we buy them as a division? Okay? Well, it depends. We have to analyze it. Okay? If we made a list right now of liens, tax lien properties, okay, repos, HUDs, LB King, okay, anywhere we can find properties. We put an ad in the newspaper. It says, if you need and losing your house, I have money to loan you. Please call me. So the reality is, you know what happens? They call. They leave messages. My voicemail tells them, please tell us your story about your property, the age, the year, the equity, why you need to sell it, or why you need money to save it. Now, we get an average of over 100 calls a week. 100 calls a week. What do? We listen to them. Now, do we call all 100 back? No, because what we have to do is figure out which ones are worth your time. I know you want to help the world, but the reality is you want to help yourself. That's why you're here to make money, correct? So we weed through those calls. I get a call that says, I lost my job, I want to keep my house, but I need money. Am I going to call him back? Oh, yes. I lost my job, okay? I'm losing my house, is what he's telling me, but I want to keep the house. I'm going to sit down with him. I'm not going to find out how can I take that house, refinance it for him, make a profit doing it, and sell him right back his house. He just said he had the desire to keep his house. Is that correct? He has the desire. If I have to buy the house or transfer it to a corporation, I could probably refinance it better than him. Now, why can't he not refinance it? It's very simple. He lost his job and he hasn't paid his creditors. The bank doesn't like him. He hasn't paid his property taxes. And the problem is he's not bringing enough money to pay the payment. Can he quit claim deed that property to me? Okay? If it's in my name, can he also add me to the deed? If he adds me to the deed, the property taxes don't go up. If he quit claims deeds the whole thing to me, then it changes hands, and since I'm not related to him, they can change the property taxes. So what I have to do on that phone call, when I sit down with him, is, okay, I want you to add me to the deed. Okay? We're brothers, we're whatever, we're friends, we're business partners. I want to have the deed modified and add my name to it. It gives me the power to refinance it. If I do that as a corporation or as myself, I can save the property. Can I make an agreement that says he'll carry back a second, or he'll pay me over terms, or he'll forfeit himself off the deed? So, can I be put on the deed, save the property, keep his name on a year? If he defaults, take the property, and rent him back his own house? Can I now sell him his house in the future at fair market value? But he wanted to keep the house, correct? So what we've got to realize is on these houses, all right, you might want to screen those phone calls. The tax liens, you're going to find that a city has a list. There's called a green sheet. You can find out from every city what properties have tax liens that have not been paid. On the green sheets, you can find out which properties are in foreclosure, which one are being basically repossessed by the city or the state. Now, you can literally be on a list and buy up the tax lien. When you buy up the tax lien, you own the property. Now, when you buy properties, you have to think about something. You might want to think about commercial properties as well. You might want to think of land. Now, what does a corporation do if it loses money? What does a corporation do if it loses money? Okay? It offsets the taxes on the corporation that made money. So what I want you to think about is, would it be terrible of you to buy a piece of land that costs you a payment that offsets your taxes on the properties that made money? Okay? Would it offset your taxes? That's what you're looking to do. Sometimes you will actually buy losers to offset your taxes because losers can be turned into winners. Is that correct? Or they can offset the taxes. So don't turn away every deal you can think of. You're going to have to make decisions. Do I keep it? Do I flip it? Do I rent it out? Do I put it in as a division? Do I do it as a non-profit? Do I do it profit? If it's me, I'm doing both simultaneously. I am doing non-profit and profit at the same time because I don't know which property is going to hit me and which one's going to come my way. If I have both set up, can I have both of them buy property simultaneously at the same time? I'm in control. That's what I want to be. I don't want to go, God, I wish I had that nonprofit set up. God, I wish I had that profit set up. Okay? Every opportunity that comes my way, I want to be able to do either one or both. Okay? I've got to work the process. So as we look at the C Corp, what I want you to remember something is, all right, everybody talks about S Corp. S Corp's okay, all right, if you want the IRS to know who owns all the stock. I would rather look at an LLC. Make sure you understand an LLC is a limited liability corporation, and the 2% general partner should be the C corporation. Because when you make too much money, a C corporation can live forever. An LLC corporation dies when all the people die if they are part of the corporation. Now, the reason I mention LLC is LLC and nonprofit have one thing in common. They're ran by membership certificates. An LLC has no stock. Okay? One of the biggest problems in business of real estate, houses, corporation is if something goes wrong, all right, they're going to ask, do you own stock? An LLC does not have stock, so therefore all you have is a voting right. If you have a voting right, you're not liable if something goes wrong, just like on the nonprofit. So we've got to look at the C corporation. All right, I would convert it to an LLC or have the C be the general partner of the C corporation. We can work this process. It's not a problem to do. As we go through this, if we're going to look about naming it, all right, here's something we've got to look at. Should your corporate one that you're running right now do all the real estate? Okay, it can. But the problem is, what if you do a lot of real estate? One or two pieces of property, your corporation can have that as a division. But if you're going to have 10 properties, should you not incorporate it separately? Okay? Because a lot of times, years ago, they would say, set up a corporation for every location you have. But that's a lot of tax returns. Can a corporation own a corporation? Okay? So your one corporation could literally own the other corporation and own it and call it a subsidiary. This subsidiary does real estate. This subsidiary owns all these other companies as well. So it depends how aggressive you want to get. All I know is, as we go through process of buying real estate, you're trying to free up your time. The number one reason you're buying real estate is to make money. Is that correct? How are you going to buy real estate, fix it up, if you can't free up your time where you work now or the company you work for? Because you have to replace the income. We've got to fight to get $1,500 a week. All of us need $1,500 a week, period, per person. Once we get that, if we're working somewhere else, can we quit our jobs? Okay, can we go buy some real estate instead? So we're focusing on that. That $1,500 a week is the key to everything. So the bills get paid automatically. When you do a corporation to buy real estate, the problem is you keep trying to touch the money. We've got to talk about touching the money as well. As we go through this, the real estate, again, we name it something investments now. Okay? If we do something or a division. Now, can a division of a corporation have 3 more divisions? Can it? Yes or no? It can. So as we learn about this corporation here wants to do some real estate. We set up this division to buy a piece of real estate. Or the corporation. Which buys the property? We have to figure it out. We have to size it up. Number 1, if you find a piece of property that you can make $20,000 or $30,000 on, but you do not have excess money of $250 a month, all right, that tells you that the corporation has to buy the property. You have no choice. If there's no excess money, after you refinance everything, you cannot keep the property. You are trusting a stranger to pay the rent. How long can you trust a stranger? The average person that rents a piece of property has no problems paying the rent for the first 6 months. The 7th month is the problem. Okay? So we cannot trust a stranger always to pay the rent. So if it's a property with no excess money we can put into an account to save for payments not getting paid, we're going to take a cash flow problem somewhere else. If it's a piece of property we can flip, we'll do that. If it's one we can keep with an excess of a certain limitation of money, all right, it's the division. If we take $250, all right, per month times the average of 6 months, will we have enough money to maintain 2 or 3 payments of rent? That is our goal. We've got to have a safety of the rent. If we do not, we cause a cash problem to the other divisions owning properties. Because you cannot steal from Peter to pay Paul. Your division should be something investments. Keep in mind, every division you set up can have 3 subdivisions. A subdivision, why would you have that? Look at me. I turn around and buy a piece of property. I will always close the property on a Tuesday or Wednesday. The subdivisions are simple. One's for carpet, one's for landscaping, one's for appliances. Okay? When I fix up a property, I've got to fix it up in 3 days or less. If I cannot fix up a piece of property in 3 days or less, I won't buy it. Okay? If I close escrow on Wednesday, it's got to be up for sale by Sunday or up to be leased by Sunday. Okay? If I don't do it that way, I'm wasting my time and money, and I'm going to run out of time, and I'm going to run out of money. And that's what we got to do. So we've got to be able to turn these properties pretty quick. To lease them out, refinance them, and basically sell them. So something investment would be the division. Okay? Eventually, if and when this has properties, this has properties. What are we going to do to these divisions? We're going to disconnect them, and we're going to set them up under another what? Corporation. Because when a corporation makes too much money, the biggest thing you've got to look at is it needs to become its own corporation. Okay? You cannot keep it involved in this. All right? It's a good idea, good concept to get it going. But all of a sudden you have 5 properties. You own an apartment complex. Okay? Do you keep it all under this? No. Remember what happens. If they sue the division, can they sue the corporation? But if you see it coming, you can disconnect it. All right? That's if you see it coming. When you do real estate, do you know who's going to slip and fall before they slip and fall? See the problem? We have to be prepared to make sure that is a separate corporation. Maybe it will be owned by this corporation. So that way it offsets the taxes. A subsidiary owned by another corporation can offset taxes, not a problem. So those are the things we have to do for that division. We got to break it down, but it should be something investments. Okay? Investments would be very important to use. All right? It's ideal. You would register your corporation like anything else. Tell us what type. Registered agent. Again, if it is going to be California, it must be a California corporation. Okay? And you must be the registered agent. because of the way the IRS does not like Nevada. They don't like it at all. As we go through it again, we will always be your registered agent, not a problem for process of service. Because unfortunately, you're dealing with people. How many of you like all your clients? How many of you don't like all your clients? Okay, see what happens? No matter how hard you try, you do the best you can. But sometimes, no matter what you do, it's never good enough. Now, the benefits of the nonprofit, okay, if we choose that way, and we're going to go into profit as well. If we choose, we know that 32% of the money coming in is part of the income. We know that 68% is used for the ongoing business. All right? Maybe you're going to buy houses from HUD. Maybe you're going to go under the 203K, First-Time Buyers Program. If you do this and challenge the city, they will wipe out your property taxes. Okay? I like the fact that cities with a nonprofit with an exemption do not charge property taxes, not allowed to. We get them to wipe it out completely. That's kind of nice. Okay? A nonprofit corporation can basically own and control a profit company. A profit company cannot do the opposite, because then you're manipulating the tax return. So the ways that we do this are pretty important to us. So we can look at looking at the nonprofit for the things we're looking to do, or the profit. And it goes into the steps what you can do. Remember, nonprofit is ran by a board of 5 people. 5 people. Only 2 of them can be related. Only 2. All right? If you're husband and wife, and you're the 2 that's related, please, ladies, use your maiden name. Do you have the right to use your maiden name? Then use it. Okay? Because I don't want any question to be that these 5 are related and everything else, and you're trying to monopolize the situation. All we can do is go back to the history in the last 3 years. Nonprofits in all states have gotten in trouble. Donate your car, donate your RV, and the nonprofit got nothing. Okay? They literally got nothing, and that's not fair. They should have got everything, but maybe 15%. As we go through this, the difference between nonprofit and profit is just basically you got your 5 directors, and again, you have membership certificates. You can get a great paycheck under nonprofit. You can donate your time. How many of you, if you want to do nonprofit, would like free employees? Okay? What you're going to do is work with your community. All schools, all children must graduate high school by doing a minimum of 40 hours of community service to a nonprofit organization. If you work with your community and your schools, your high school, you will get free apprentice. You will get free employees. Okay? And that's a good thing to the nonprofit. You can work within the city and the school district, and you can do affordable housing. There's many things you can do. And the children can learn a trade. Okay? And they can invest their time. It's called free employees. We can also tap into grants and things like this as well. So naming the nonprofit or the profit corporation, again, we want to make sure we name it correctly. Eventually, you're going to consider, if you do nonprofit, foundation. A foundation is something that does over $250,000 a year. If we look at the Kennedys or even the Gettys, all of their children had one thing in common. They were hired by the foundation to go work for it. Okay? They worked for the foundation. They didn't inherit anything, but the foundation pays them a lot of money. Okay? A lot of money is not bad to have, but again, could cause a tax problem. As the articles are prepared, we get them all set up. You know, remember, we tell you about the 2 sets of articles, 5 directors, registered agent, and then we have our officers list. Remember, officers are not the 5 directors. They could be, but they don't need to be. Now, if I'm going to do another nonprofit, it's simple. I ask a pastor of the church. Okay? I ask an attorney. I ask a doctor. I ask other people to be part of it. If you end up doing it and you control it, what are they going to think you're doing? You're going to be doing what's called hugs on drugs. Okay? And what happens? They have all these bumper stickers that said hugs, not drugs. All right? And the teddy bears. Remember all that? Do you know what she did wrong? She took 92% of all the money, put it in her pocket. 8% went to do the bumper stickers. Is that good or bad? Okay? That's why you don't see it as much. So we cannot gouge ourselves. We got to work it. Keep in mind, we're always going to talk about the website www.irs.gov. You're going to go in there. You're going to get a 1023. The 1023 equals 501c3. You want to get the exemption if you want grants, if you want money donated, and everything else. Believe it or not, California and cities and your government will actually give you free employees through the rehab program. Okay? All right? Rehab, we know where people went. They needed a second chance. Okay? Would you like free employees? Okay? They supervise them through rehab, by the way. Free employees are nice. Okay? They get the work done. And you know what happens? You get a paycheck. I like having a paycheck. All right? So we get 501c3 exemption. All right? It's recognized. It's a tax-exempt status. We go state to state, city to city. When you get the form, you'll find out there is an 872C, 8718. And when you file this, okay, they allow you to save up to $10,000, and they'll charge you a fee. Please basically do a right projection and pay the fee. They charge $150 to file this at the IRS. Don't pay the $150, pay the $500. For some reason, when you pay them the $500 fee, it speeds up the process. Wonder why? Okay, but it speeds up the process, and that's nice. As we go through this process, we're going to look at the exemption. It talks about the fee. Pay the highest fee. Okay, project under or over $2,000 to $10,000. Okay, it is very important that we look at this. But you might think of nonprofit again without getting the exemption. That is a corporation, not for profit. That can help you get credit and everything else. Later on, you can go after the nonprofit status. You don't always have to run out and go do that to do the same thing. Okay? So we can do both simultaneously. All right? If you're going to look for the grants and everything else, I would do it at the same time. You're going to go to the 1023. As you go through this process, when you fill out the 1023, all right, we're going to be setting up one of our paralegals to be able to review these for you if you want to do it as well. Okay? The difference is we no longer give samples because we had a problem with doing that in the past. We gave samples, and they actually sent our samples to the IRS. Okay? So what you got to do is create your own budget of what you're looking to do. It'll give you basically the guidelines in your book to do this. It's very important we go through the steps and the way that we're going to set up for the nonprofit. If we choose to do nonprofit, it's important to go through every step, every question. You're going to literally go through about 12 pages of the nonprofit and say what you want and what needs to be done, set up your budget, and you're going to want to tell them how you're starting your business. Starting it from home, tell them that. All right? One of the things that's very helpful is if you have a company that you work for or an office, you could actually designate part of that property for a nonprofit. You can use part of that as a tax write-off. Okay? Anything you donate is going to help you build this company as well. And that's pretty important. And it gives you different sections you're going to go after. Make sure you circle where it says 509A2. Okay? This is the part that might confuse you. You want the 509A2 if you go after the nonprofit. They will give you the mother lode of exemptions. And that is important to us to be able to do all kinds of different things as well. As we go through it, it'll give you the breakdown, how you can structure, how to fill out the 872C. Okay? And what you want to do is get your organization set up for nonprofit. It'll go into grants. If you get your exemption, okay, you can be added to the instant grant list. There's a grant list for every city. There's one for the state, and there's one for the IRS as well, and the United States of America. You can literally tap into a government grant and literally get $250,000. Okay? If you want to be added to the list. If you get added to the list, there's ways to get you bumped up on the list as well. Especially if you're doing things for your local community. And you get your community to endorse you. Okay? If you did something in the community, can you get the church to give you a letter? What are churches? 501c3. Okay? They have the exemption. So what you want to do is utilize working with the community that can help you, help them, help yourself. And that's what you're looking for. It's very important because they're going to want to know about the assets, all right, the receivables, the inventories, and all the checklists you have. Because they want to know how you're going to get started from nothing. You're going to break it down step by step. And that's going to be important to us because we want to follow through with this, all right, as we do it. If you want to expedite it, all right, one of the things you can realize is a nonprofit organization gets started and you can change types of businesses. Okay? They will assign to your nonprofit an agent. And I can start maybe debt consolidation, thrift store. I can go after other things as well. All I want to do is get the exemption and adopt other functions. And that is important to us. All right? Now keep in mind after you turn in the 1023, they're going to send you back 20 questions. They always send you back 20 questions no matter what you do. Okay? They're going to ask the same question 3 times. Keep a copy of your records. One of the biggest mistakes we've done in the past, every time we do something, we don't make a copy of it. Okay? You're going to actually set up a book for the nonprofit, make everything set up in that book, index it, send it in. When you get a response, compare what you said the first time, all right, and re-say the same things over and over again. Okay? Literally, don't rack your brain and try to rephrase what you said. Give them the same answer every time. Because they're just asking you questions again, over and over again. I just wonder if they get a bonus for stressing you out. If you want to, you can send a letter for the 1023, and you can try to expedite it. Now, how many of you know somebody who has nonprofit already? How many of you know a church? Okay? Any community? All right? If you go to a community or a church and says, hey, you got a nonprofit, I'm willing to help you. Once we get our exemption, would you please give us a letter of intent? Okay? That letter from a nonprofit endorsing you expedites your nonprofit. Okay? Try to get endorsements. It's very important to do so. Now, Small Business Association. You want to call them. You want to ask them for a list of all nonprofits. They have a list, so there's a Chamber of Commerce in a state or all 50 states. You could also call the Secretary of State of California, it's all public record, and say, I would like a list of all the nonprofit corporations in California. When I get that list, I got to do several things. First of all, I'm going to pull the officers list. Second of all, I'm going to pull their Dun & Bradstreet and their Experian to see if they have one. I'm going to find out all about their nonprofit. If nonprofit helps nonprofit, it helps everybody. If your corporation goes bad, you will have to donate everything you have to another nonprofit anyway. Okay? If you work with nonprofits, you get to endorse each other and help each other. And that's pretty important. So I would basically do my homework, get that set up as well. All right? You have a letter you're going to send to HUD. You're going to contact HUD, and you're going to want to register your nonprofit with the intent of getting the exemption or after the fact. You want HUD to keep you on the list. Also write down you want a HUD key. HUD will give you a key. They'll give you a whole profile, and you want to know the 203K. You'll also want to go on the HUD website. You will find properties there. If you're on their list, you get to look at properties before anyone else. They allow nonprofit organizations to offer them the properties before anybody else. So if you're on the list. So you might find a piece of property, all right, to fix up. What if we found our nonprofit, we found a piece of property, but we had to fix it up? Who's going to fix up the nonprofit property? Okay? I would hope that this is the nonprofit corporation buying a piece of real estate. All right? You'd go get 2 or 3 bids. All right? And one of those 2 or 3 bids would be a division of another company you work for. Is that okay? As long as the bids, all right, match and do not gouge, you're okay. All right? Make sure the bids are a little bit underneath. Okay? I would always say the reason why we did this is because I worked there. I can get them a better deal. Okay? Do you not want to employ these people here? All right? Does it not help everything work in conjunction? Do you have more control? The biggest thing as you do business is control. So what you want to do is get a hold of HUD, send them a letter, get it all set up. If you do the nonprofit, keep in mind your stationery is the key to the public. If your stationery is incorrect, all right, there's the biggest problem you're going to find out is that you're going to be in violation of the exemption. If you get the 501c3 exemption, it is on probation for 5 years. You're on probation for 5 years. Nonprofit is audited every 3 years automatically. Keep your books in order. When you do hire a CPA, all right, hire a CPA that specializes in nonprofit. By the way, there's only 9 of those in California. Okay? So everyone you talk to goes, I don't specialize in that. So make sure you call the board of CPAs, certified public accountants, and say, I need the list of the ones that specialize in nonprofit. Okay? That is important to us. Because that audit's going to happen no matter what you do with nonprofit. But there's nothing wrong with an audit if your books are clean. If you cook the books, I think there's a problem. Okay? You're on probation for 5 years. Make sure your corporation, all right, says it's a nonprofit corporation stationary. If it is the division, it would be the name of the division, say a division of a nonprofit. All stationery should have the year it was established, the exemptions you have, who's the president, the treasurer, the secretary, and the board. The programs you do as well. Make sure they always specify all of this. You've got to give the image. If you're a nonprofit, you're a nonprofit. If you don't give the image, you're going to be in violation and you might lose your exemption. Most cases, you would lose your exemption right away. So it's pretty important we do this. Now, managing the nonprofit, there are members of certificates. Keep in mind you'll get what's called a non-stock kit. From here, you need to have a founder statement. Keep in mind, a founder statement protects the founder. Nonprofit, you can be outvoted by your members. If they don't like what you're doing, they can gang up on you. So you should have a founder statement, an ethics statement, a mission statement. Also in your founder statement, it should state if you resign, you get to basically vote and elect who you want to basically take over your position. That has to be in the founder statement when you first start. You can't adopt it after the fact because why? The memberships won't let you do it. Okay? If you do it in the beginning, you have the control. When you set up any type of corporation, set up all the functions in the beginning so no one can tell you what you cannot do after the fact. Try to implement something 3 months down the road that's working. What happens? Oh, we don't like that. Okay? Implement it in the beginning so that way you work it as well. Very important to you. Now, you're going to have these membership certificates. The membership certificate is going to be used. All right? If you get the exemption, okay, you can not only get buildings donated, clothing, everything else you want to fix it all up. All right? You can get cars donated to you, endorsements. Give everybody in the world a membership certificate, make a plaque, make a picture, and basically bring in the dollars. That's pretty important to us. Because what we really want to do is be able to show, hey, you helped us out. Here's your membership certificate. It means that you get to write it off. If you don't have the exemption, please do not take donations. You will not be on the IRS list, and what happens is they will not be able to take it off their taxes. Okay? They'll be mad at you. That happens all the time. As you use your checklist, what you do is you got your 5 directors, your articles of incorporation, Secretary of State, officers list, tax ID, tax exempt 1023, phone number, business license. You know, it's really weird when you get a business license under nonprofit. The city can't charge you but $5 for a certificate fee. I kind of like that. From here, order a non-stock kit, open the bank account, establish the divisions, and please go after Dun & Bradstreet and Experian. Okay? Nonprofit builds better corporate credit. Nonprofit gets better interest rates. Nonprofit can be endorsed by the government and the state and the city and give you grants and give away money. It's kind of nice when you're helping the community. Have you ever noticed that nonprofits, every time there's a new cause, they all jump on the bandwagon? They also get government money. And that's how it works. as we go through this process. Make sure you have name tags for everybody in the nonprofit. Make sure the name tag expires. Okay? Because if this is an employee that you get fired or you get rid of in the future, you don't want them out there trying to say they're nonprofit and they're not. Make sure you have a name tag, all right, set up for the nonprofit who's authorized, and you let it expire. From here, you will create a certificate of compliance. So let's make sure we understand what a certificate of compliance really is. What happens? All right, you went over to a landlord, you needed a building. All right, 4 buildings have been empty for 2 years. Mr. Landlord, would you please loan us this building? Would you donate it to nonprofit? Well, what happens? You tend to deal with what? The mortgage company. Does the mortgage company get a write-off if they get the building to you for free? Nope. Do they get a commission? Nope. Is that good or bad? See, what happens is the mortgage company is going to tell you, we don't do that. What did you do? You accepted the word no. What should you do? Run a title search on that company, all right, on the building itself, find out who the owner is, and approach the owner or the CPA direct. Okay? Our office that we're in for the last 10 years, I got the building for free for the first 3 months. 80% of the location was empty. I told the landlord I wanted to set up an office. What do they want to do? Well, we want first and last. Well, I talked to the mortgage person. I got a hold of Slim, who was the owner of the building at the time, and I said, I'll tell you what, I'll write you a check that's no good. He goes, why would I take that? It's good in 3 months. Okay? Your buildings have been sitting here. I'll also let you donate the 3 months to a nonprofit as a write-off. So we got the building for 3 months to a nonprofit. We gave him a certificate of compliance for 3 months of rent. And then the 3rd month, he cashed the check. Did he lose? But guess what? The mortgage person said he never does that. Did he do it anyway? We've been there for 10 years. Don't accept the word no. A certificate of compliance is saying that this company has been recognized for donating building, land, house, fixtures, equipment, something. They will give that to their CPA, and they'll write it off on their taxes. And that's very important to us. As you build business, it'll help your community as well. So what we do, we basically work it from there. This is HUD that you want to contact with that expedite letter. You want to make sure that HUD knows you're a nonprofit organization if you are. If you do not do nonprofit HUD, contact them as a profit company. Okay? As a profit company, you're still buying properties. Just be careful. And HUD, when you go into the auction, they assign you and you register, you got to give them $2,500 up front. If you're profit. If you do not bid, they keep you $2,500. If you bid and you lose the bid, you get your money back. So go play a couple times before you get serious about it, because you might lose $2,500 if you're not prepared. It's very important to us as well. We've got to contact HUD to do this process. As we go through it, tax ID. Okay? The tax ID is set up differently for the nonprofit. As we look at the SS4 form in your book, we look at the types of entities. Yes, the principal here is you and the Social Security number, but then we look at the way we can set this up. You're applying for a new one, and you're applying for banking purposes, and you're doing it for nonprofit. Where it says other, nonprofit, specify 501c3. Because that's what you would do. You would fax this in. Since it is California, it comes out of Fresno. Whatever state you're in, it's where it's going to come from. So now we have a tax ID for this purpose. Now, keep in mind, can you work for a nonprofit for 10 years? Can you work for it the rest of your life? Can a nonprofit set up a pension plan? A trust. Isn't that weird? You might retire from a nonprofit that you're tied into a pension plan, and now you're taking care of the rest of your life. Kind of reminds me of Mrs. Dole from the Red Cross. Her salary was $12 million a year under nonprofit. Is that a good enough salary to have? I kind of like it. What do you think? Okay? And she has a pension plan, part of the Red Cross. Her pension plan is $4,400 a month the rest of her life. Is that okay with you? Okay? Wouldn't you like to join her? Okay? That's what you got to think about as well. Then it shows you about the tax ID, all the different steps, all right, all the different phone numbers and the fax numbers to do this as well. And it goes step by step, again, where are you going to file this? And that's what we're looking to do, is to file this in those steps. Now, the price to incorporate. If we pick a profit corporation, we go state to state, we have to qualify it. That means if this is a profit corporation, and every state I go to, I have to give them a certificate of good standings, the original. The certificate of good standings is $15 each. For $15, how many states I want to go into? There are 50. That could add up. If it's non-profit, I can go in there with the exemption for free. For free. California currently has no franchise tax fee. They have the right as of next year, all right, to basically add a franchise tax fee, which isn't very nice, and I hope they don't do one. But we get to go state to state, and we have to do a qualification, all right, non-profit or profit. So basically this is QFC, all right, qualification of foreign corporation, state to state. You'll notice in your book what it shows is these are the phone numbers of the states. Wherever you're going to buy property. Now, you live in California. Does that mean you're going to buy property here only? Okay. Should you buy property somewhere else? Okay. Where should you buy property? Mississippi, that's a good place. Where should we buy property? Anywhere it's cheap, anywhere we can lease it out for more than the payment. How's that? Okay. How do we find this out? We contact the Chamber of Commerce and the State Real Estate Board. The Real Estate Board will let you know properties, and they analyze it, and they'll show you what cities and states sell properties and where the economy is. I can go to Washington State or Spokane right now on a 3-bedroom, all right, 3-story house, half acre. I can hand them $500 a month. Okay? They will want $500 down. That's all they want, $500. The house is mine. It's under a division. I can't sell it. Why are they giving it to me? Because it's sitting there vacant. All right? When I turn around and I have this property, why would I bother to get it? Why? It's a write-off, number one. Number two, I got it for nothing. It's under a division, and I can lease it out to first-time buyers. Is that correct? Under nonprofit, it gives me an exemption. Under profit, I still win. Now, I look at the economy and I see how much the rent can go for. Then I find out the rent now can go for $800 a month. But the payment is $500. What am I making? $300 a month income. So don't assume, all right, that the properties you get have to always make you a lot of money. Little pieces add up. Is that correct? Okay, we've got to look for the little pieces. In certain areas, we can trust the people in areas because they need a house to live in, correct? If we did this under nonprofit, we would turn this into a Section 8. That means the government guarantees the paycheck. The government guarantees the rent check. Do you have to worry about it now? You don't. Also, you would insure it. If they don't pay that, the government pays it. If the place burnt down, you get more than you paid for it. Wouldn't that be terrible? Okay? So do you lose? The answer is no. We've got to find properties everywhere, okay, that we can do. Now, all of you got to get to the point that you travel. How many of you travel out of the state? So 80% of you. How many of you would like to travel out of the state? Okay? You do know a business trip that makes you go out of your state is 100% write-off to a corporation. Is that correct? Okay? All of you are going to go on a what in the future? A business trip. Okay? It's time you have fun. If you have a spouse, hire them as an employee. guess what? Gets to go on the business trip with you. If you don't want to see your spouse, leave them home. Okay? All right? Then you can take your girlfriend with you. Now, all right, we've got to contact these states. The state has a list of all properties that the state owns. Not only can we find out about qualification, but the state will tell you what properties they own. Okay? States have had to take properties back. There have been banks that actually went out of business. Is that correct? The state publishes a list of all banks that went out of business and the properties they took back, including the auctions you get to go to. The state auctions of furniture. The state auctions of a lot of things that I like called safety deposit boxes. Okay? I like to buy safety deposit boxes. Do you remember when you were kids, you could always do that grab bag? Okay? It's kind of fun. I bought 500 safety deposit boxes for $6,000. Okay? And nobody else bid on them. It's really weird. We opened them up. We found bonds of IBM. We found bonds of 4 different corporations. And by the time we were done, there was over $1 million of assets in those boxes. Okay? Did we get our money's worth? But I didn't buy them. Corporation did. Is that good or bad? If we would have lost, was it an expense? Okay? If it's an expense, would it offset our taxes? Either way, we don't lose, do we? We've got to find ways to always win, no matter if we win or lose. Okay? How to do things and properties. When you contact these states, you make sure you're on their mailing list. You tear apart the state. You look at the state qualification. You look at what they allow you to do. You find out what the state owns. What about the grants? What's about the list? You do your homework. Every state should give you anywhere from 15 to 20 ways to find out what the state owns and controls. And if they don't, you're not asking the right questions. Okay? These states have a lot of ways you can take money from them and make money. As we go through this process, let's understand something. Okay? Do we buy the property under us or the corporation or the division? Depends again. Okay? What do we have to look at? First thing is, any piece of property you obtain, we size it up. There's no excess inventory. There's no excess money. Why would you buy it? Because we can flip it, and we know the value's there, but we know we can't rent it out for enough value. Correct? If we're going to keep a piece of property, let's say it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We know, based on the city, they can give us the comps. Is that correct? They can tell us exactly what a piece of property like this rents for in this local city. If we take that property and we can refinance everything and have an excess of $250 a month, we keep it. And it's under a division. Should the division be here or in Nevada? Where should it be? Okay. Where do you want the money to land? Okay. That tells you where you want it to be. Okay. Where do you want the tenant to send the money? All right. Always Nevada. Why? No tax. No disclosure. So if we go through this process, we have to focus on, all right, basically when we close escrow, do we have a minimum of $250 a month? Excess cash. All right. On the typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath. When it comes to a duplex, you need to make sure you have $750 a month. Okay, 4-plex, $1,500. Anything less than that is not enough. Now, in the future, I want you to think about a duplex. I want you to think about a 4-plex. I want you to contact the city. I want you to ask to the city, do you allow duplexes and 4-plexes to be turned into townhouses? They'll always tell you yes, by the way. I haven't found one that says no. Now, why would they say yes? I buy one of these a month, $200,000. I don't buy anything above $200,000. Because anything above $200,000, there's not enough money to make, and I can't rent it up for enough money. Is that correct? And who do you want to let a stranger rent out something that costs $200,000? Okay? Are they going to destroy it anyway? What we do is this. We pay $200,000 for a 4-plex. No problem. We go to the city, and we say we want to convert them all to condos. They'll take your deed and divide it by 4 ways. Can you do a timeshare? Can you? What's a timeshare? Takes apartment complex, whatever it is, and it sells a week. Is that correct? Separate deeds. Okay? Now, cities love to charge money. The last city wanted $6,700. It's a lot of money, but I don't mind paying it. But I do mind paying it up front. So I had to go in front of the board, and I said, we're willing to do this, and we're willing to put a second trust deed on this property for your fee. We gave the city a second trust deed for $6,700. When they separated these, we sold every one of them for $99,000. Cost us $200,000. We sold it for what? $400,000. Escrow got closed. What did the city get? Their $6,700. Okay? Why do they like doing this? Because they get to charge tax. Even timeshare, you pay tax if you haven't figured it out. Even on timeshare. So the duplex the same way. Figure out how you can get creative as you go through this. We need excess money for properties to be fixing them up. If you got properties with no excess money, who buys them now? Who buys them? You have no extra money. Corporation has to buy them. Okay? Why would you buy it? It's a fixer-upper. We can make 20 grand. We'll do it. Okay? How fast do we have to flip that property? We've got to close escrow on a Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay? The faster you turn it around, the faster you can rent it out or collect money. Is that correct? So anything, as far as I'm concerned, is not acceptable. Let's remember something. It's really weird. Every time I did a retail store, okay, I had it set up. I signed the lease on a Monday or Tuesday. I had it set up by Friday, and by Sunday, I made all the money that I just put into the property of retail. Not once did I ever not get past that point by Sunday to break even. If I didn't break even by Monday, I closed it down. Every time. I will not do a business unless I get my money back in less than 5 days. 5 days. And if you accept any other thing else, it's because you don't have the discipline. We close escrow on Tuesday, Wednesday morning. You better have a division set up for landscaping. Is that correct? You better have basically a division for appliances. How about paint? Okay? How about carpet? How fast can you set up a team to rip out the carpet, repaint the place, landscape, and appliances? Come on, there are 4 things. Why would it take you more than a week or less? Because you're trying to do it all yourself. Is that correct? Okay? Coordinate it. All right? You're not Mr. Handyman. All right? You're basically behind the corporation. You hire basically some laborers to rip the place apart. Okay? Thursday morning, I got 5 laborers. We're ripping that house apart. The appliances are coming out. We're painting the walls. We're ripping out the carpet. Friday morning, we got new carpet, new paint, new landscaping. Saturday, we better be done. If you're not done Saturday, you're spending the night. Okay? You are going to go open house on Sunday to rent it out or basically to sell it. And if it's not ready, guess whose fault it is? It's yours. Don't ever say you can't turn a property in 5 days. It's impossible. It's impossible to take longer. Why would you take longer? To be stressed out and cost more money? Yes, way over there.
There's no restriction on the number of these deals you can do under the nonprofit structure.
There's no restriction under nonprofit. There's no restriction under divisions. Okay? The biggest problem we have is people try to do it under us. All right? Let's say you find a property. No matter what you do, you have to have that property. Okay? They'll buy it under you. But quit claim deed at the same day to the division of the corporation. They don't have time to reassess property taxes. It's done. They did it at the time you bought it. Wait 6 months to 10 years, then they do what? Reassess property taxes. Okay? Quit claim deed it, get it out of your name as quick as possible. Yes?
Ray, we're talking about making Nevada divisions of our California nonprofit corporation.
Okay?
Is that what you're talking about here?
I'm talking about divisions that are in here, California.
Yeah.
They're Nevada divisions if it's profit.
Okay.
If it's non-profit, it's a California division.
Okay, so as far as money's being paid by the renters going to Nevada, that can be done if it's a California or a Nevada corporation?
Nope, you want the rent checks here if it's non-profit.
Want the rent checks here if it's not profit.
All right? Because for some reason that non-profit is going to keep hiring this profit company, and that profit company is going to help the non-profit.
Okay.
Okay? And the non-profit is not going to be profitable, but can hold millions of dollars at the same time.
Is there any instance when you're not going to want to buy under a nonprofit?
I'll buy both. It depends on the property.
It depends on profit.
Depends on the property. I find a piece of property, I want to make some money on it. It's profit. I don't want to do anything besides put it in the company's profit account. I don't want to buy nonprofit because I want that money. There's $100,000 sitting on the table. Do you want that nonprofit? No way. 10,000, okay. Fix it up, no problem. Okay? I can get the state to give me free contractors to fix up that property. Okay? Under the rehab program. Okay? They'll put them in there and they'll make them work. Okay? They have one thing called work furlough. Make them work. Okay? And it'll work for you under nonprofit. It helps everybody. Okay? But again, depends on how much money is to be made. I have banks that call me and say, Ray, I got a piece of property. All right? It's been appraised of $600,000. It's in good condition. All right? We're willing to give it to you for $325. Do you want it? What do you think I'm going to tell them? Well, I know the bank that calls me and I trust them, so I said, yes, I'll take it. All right? I make 2 phone calls. I've never seen the property. I have it fixed up. I get a realtor that'll go over there, size it up, tell me how fast I can sell it for how much. Okay? They say, well, you can sell it for the $650, but it'll take me 90 days. That's too long. How fast can you sell it? You name the price. Okay? I'll sell for $580 and I'll have it sold in 2 weeks. Fine. In the contract, you sell in 2 weeks, you get paid. If you do not, you have to list it for 60 days and you get no commission. Got it? It's in their contract. Believe me, they'll play the game. All right? Because I've got basically realtors that work with me all the time that usually win.
Is it illegal to have a Nevada bank account for a California corporation?
Oh, not at all. Okay? Not if they're the management company at all. Okay? It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. As you go through these properties and everything else, that's why you're figuring profit, non-profit. How you receive the money is going to be pretty important for us as we do it through the divisions, everything else. Now, let's look at this page and let's analyze it. Let's remember something. All right? The Newsgram of California, yes, in California Handbook of California Law, can a Nevada corporation do business? I want you to look in the bottom here. It says a foreign corporation engaging in business of making in loans, investing loans, everything else should not be considered to be transacting interstate business. In the course of business, the corporation participates in such activities of making loans, all right, commitments, making inspections, appraising of properties, enforcing loans, modifying, renewing, transacting, transferring, and selling loans, acquiring properties, making contracts, collecting payments on loans, engaging in any activity necessary to carry out all the loan activity. Now look at what I circled. As long as it does not maintain an office. As long as time it does not what? Maintain a what? An office. So now we're talking about a profit corporation. Let's understand something. I find properties the corporation can buy. We can sell it. We can flip it. We made some money. Where's the money land? Nevada. Because the Nevada corporation is never going to have an office here by itself. It's the division. Is that correct? Okay. Now let's look at it again. I have a piece of property I buy. All right. I want to keep it. A Nevada division set up in Nevada owning the property in California never needs to consider to be transacting interstate business. It does not maintain an office, so therefore I can tell you where the rent check goes. Does that make sense? Every division that owns a piece of property from Nevada should never have an office here. If you put the office here, the rent check has to go where? Here. Half of you have house payments, half have to be paid in the state, and the other half go out of state. Is that about right? Okay? Because of the way they're set up. So I want you to realize something. If it's a property you keep under a profit company, it is a division in Nevada with no address here, no office, no nothing. All right? So the rent check can go where? Goes to Nevada. All right? You have to pay tax on a profit corporation in California on net income. That division's not in California, is that correct? All right? There's 8 ways of exemption. Make sure you do this correctly. It is very important to make sure as we do the divisions in Nevada. Understand, a division in Nevada costs $15. Does not have to be published. The biggest mistake you make is you don't notify us. You do not give us notice and tell us that you have a division in Nevada. If you don't tell us, any mail we get, we will send back because we don't know it's you. It is your responsibility, all right, and that's why we offer to do the Nevada divisions all the time in the office. So we make sure our computer knows that company is your company you work for. And that's important to do. We can have all checks land where again? Nevada. Now, how do we do this? We've got to decide how to receive the money. It is very important that we look at things. Now, there are 26 types of forms. This form here is a deed of trust with the assignment of rents. Okay? Now, let's look at something. These divisions are in Nevada, but they own real estate in California. All right? They are protecting that. They have equity, is that correct? Who should own the equity? Corporate 1. Corporate 1. Okay? Who owns the stock of Corporate 1? Corporate 2. Who do we put the second trustee to assign the rents to? Corporate 2. Okay? You don't know who's going to sue. You don't know who's not going to pay the rent. But we've got to make sure that they don't win and we don't lose. We will not lose. So what we've got to do is make sure we set this up correctly. As we go through this process, you're going to basically use this form a lot. This is a great form to use to assign the rent checks. And we want to do this. We all know the pattern of 3. The active corporation, you pledging your equity here, equity holding company, second, third trustee, pink slips as well. This secondary corporation owns the stock of the first corporation. We've got to make sure that the stock, keep in mind what did I say earlier, if you start real estate under this corporation, this division here, investments, buys properties, right? Eventually, we should split this off and that's all it's going to do and make it its own what? Corporation. Let's keep in mind a division of a corporation can have 3 babies. Okay? Again, here's the division. I buy properties. But now I want to go buy some lumber, some carpets, some appliances, everything else. They won't sell it to me. Try being a contractor and trying to go to the manufacturer to buy your lumber. Oh, we don't sell direct. We sell to Thompson's Building Material instead. I have a division for wood. I have a division under that company for appliances. I have it for carpet. I make sure these divisions buy the product and resell it back to the parent company. Okay? If they won't sell it to you because what the name of your company is or the type of company you have, what do? Accept the word no? Or do you set up a division of a division to say the word yes? Okay? I mean, I know one thing. Every time I fix up a piece of property, I rip up the carpet. Every time I go to Banner's Carpet, they're going to give me 25% discount. There's a 300% markup. $20 carpet I can get for $4 a yard or cheaper than that. What do? I got a division called XYZ Carpet. What do I buy now? Wholesale. Because the more money I can save, the more money I can create my $250 a week to $250 a month, correct? If I don't create a cash flow, then I better flip it as quick as possible because it'll stress me out. I've got to make sure I buy them through divisions. Even if we have to co-sign them for the division, even if we have to transfer to the division, even if the division qualifies because it's got a Paydex score. People like to tell you no because they want to get the money in their pockets. As we do this process, that protects the equity. As we go through it, you're going to look at a reconveyance. The steps we got to think about for properties. Resolution of acceptance, assignment of equity, deed of trust, assignments of rents. Those are the things we have to do. You got to ask your tenants how to pay the rent. Now, how are you going to receive the money? How do you receive the money? Let's think about something. Today I rent you out this property. I do several things with you. Number 1, I have you sign a lease agreement. When you sign the lease agreement, it's very simple to do. All right? It has Exhibit A and B. It says Exhibit A is I provide renter's insurance. Exhibit B is you're going to do a collateral agreement. You are a stranger. Okay? I'm giving you $100,000 to $200,000 house to live in. I make you give me an inventory of your assets. Your couch, your TV, the car in the parking lot, whatever, the garage. I make sure you know the reason we have this is the insurance company wants a picture of it. Don't be surprised they send you a questionnaire or come out and take pictures. Now, I provide renter's insurance in case the place burns down and gets robbed. Also, I make you sign a UCC-1 and a collateral agreement. You are going to pledge your personal assets towards the rent. So as long as you pay on time, I love you. When you do not pay on time, I will sue you, and I will take your refrigerator and your couch, and I will liquidate you. That is business. I will be nice to you until you're not nice to me. Don't pay for a week? Okay. Don't pay for a month? I'm pissed off. Don't pay at all? I'm really pissed off. Is that correct? You do not adopt people when it comes to business. You make business decisions. All right? And you do not rent out to relatives and family and friends. Ever. You tell them this is a corporation, I work there. I'm sorry, it's against our corporate policy to rent out to people I know. Okay, sorry, the board makes the decision. I have no control over the board. Okay, so guess what happens? You now don't let them take advantage of you. Okay, because they will take advantage of all of you. That's what family and friends are for. Unfortunately, that's what they do. When I get a rent check, my first thing to you is simple. I know you're better off by paying me before you get paid. I offer you a 5% discount if you let me take it from your employer. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, I don't care. Most of the time they say yes. If they say no, fine. I want to take it from your checking account automatically. I want to get to the electronic deposit, electronic transfer. In other words, I don't want to touch the what? The money. Because if I touch it, I got to bank it here. Is that correct? As our creditors make us send money out of state, the same thing. So what I want to do is take it out of your account. You're better off having me take it out weekly anyway, so you know what, left over you have money to spend. So it's not this big chunk. I believe house payments should be weekly. Okay, don't you? So you know the excess money you have versus paying that big sum that you have to save up every month. All right, that's stressful, isn't it? The stressful day is the day you pay your rent or your house payment. Is that correct? Don't be stressful. Okay? So what happens here is they say yes, they say no. All of a sudden, no matter what I do, they say no. I provide them an envelope. All of your envelopes can say care of your company and put the bank's address there and put the account number on the outside of the envelope. You tell them right up front, you must use our envelopes. They're numbered 1 through 12. If we don't receive that envelope and it doesn't credit to the account, we charge a $150 late fee. I have a funny feeling since you put postage there, they're going to use the envelope. What do you think? When they use the envelope, because you couldn't get into which way to do it, they send it to the bank direct. Is that correct? What bank do they send it to? The one in Nevada. All right? Now you're going to go, how do I know they paid the rent on time? Every day when you go into the website, checking out your bank account, you make every rent check $1 off. Okay? Because your average rents will be like $1,000, $1,200, whatever it is. You make it $1,001, $1,052, $1,292. You make it a weird amount, by the way. Okay? And that's what you want to do to check to see if it's been credited to the account. If it's not, you give them your 3-day notice. And immediately, if they're late, you give a 3-day notice. Immediately. You don't be nice. You're a business. You be nice, but you do the corporate policy and procedures. You call them up and say, I just work here. I'm sorry. I'm managing the company. This company is very ruthless to you, and they will go after your assets. Remember, you signed a collateral agreement. It's kind of like a chattel mortgage. You will basically need to pay this, so they'll repossess you. All right, how can I help you negotiate this and get caught up? But you serve them your 3-day notice, don't you? Immediately. How many times have you been soft? How many times when you were soft it cost you money in the long run? How many times when you were soft you found out the person took advantage of you anyway? And you shouldn't have been soft? This is a corporation. All right? We've got to grow up and act like one. A business decision is made in 3 minutes. Here's your 3 days notice to quit or get out of there. From there, then you go into court. You get a writ of execution. From there, when you're in court, you tell the judge, by the way, they signed a collateral agreement. would you let them know that under the UCC 1 that they forfeited their TV, their couch, and their refrigerator? On top of this, make sure that you put their car on the UCC 1. You own the equity. Even if they take away the car, when they go to sell it, they got to pay you back anyway. Okay? You make sure you get your money. Okay? Because you're nice, you help people, but you get your what? You get your money. Yes.
Ray, isn't that going to be a special kind of tenant? How many people are going to acquiesce to that?
All of them. All of them are going to sign it. Every one of them. Because when they want to rent your property, are they excited? Are they excited? When they're excited, are they willing to sign anything? When you were excited, did you sign anything? See what happens? It's easy. I have never had anybody have a problem basically saying, all right, because my question back to them is simple. All right, are you going to promise to pay this rent on time? You really want this property? I'm interviewing people for this property. By the way, if you pay the rent on time, I'm going to take 5% of the rent, put it in an escrow account, and you get to buy this property, all right, in up to 5 years at fair market value. Are you interested in buying this property? All right, what do you think they're going to say? Also, if you want to put extra money in that, you can buy the property faster. All right, if you want to pay an extra $250 a month, I will discount the property 5%, and that money goes into escrow when you buy the property as your down payment. The other thing is they forfeit the money if they don't buy the property. 94% never buy the property. I think it gives you extra money. Is that correct? Yes.
Do you do a credit check or a pay check or a check?
I do all that. Okay? And I want a letter from their employer. I also want a letter from the pastor of their church. Okay? Or whatever religion they have. Okay? I want it from their rabbi. I don't care who it is. I want a personal reference letter from whoever they know. I want a list of their family members. I want their credit check, everything else. And then they're going to go, well, I don't have perfect credit. That's okay. I'm still going to rent to you. Okay? I'm still going to rent to you because I'm giving you a second chance. Do you want a second chance? Yes, I do. I will rent to the person with bad credit because they're pledging their what? Assets. And if they move out at 2 o'clock in the morning, take their assets, I do a police report. I take that police report, I give it to the insurance company, and within 10 days they have to give me a check for the value of the assets. Have to. And it makes it their problem now. It's called a chattel mortgage. I also provide gardeners on all properties. I pay the gardener $25 a month to inspect the property. I gave him a questionnaire. All right, broken window, car in the driveway, car on jacks, carpet's not doing this and that. All right, they inspect the property. I make them take a videotape or a camera of all property, all right, all areas, front and backyard. They turn it in and I pay them $25 a month. I turn the gardener into the spy. And that's what it should be. If I have a pool person, I do the same thing. They are the spies to make sure, because I don't have time to go look at the property. But I want to make sure if something going wrong with it, I know. Then I go to 2 neighbors and I let them know, keep an eye on the house. If you report anything that is wrong, there's a reward of $100. You wouldn't believe how many neighbors watch the door every friggin' day. Okay? All right? I don't have time to check it out, but I'll tell you what, people are needy and greedy, and it's what? They'll want to earn their $100. And I'll drive up, there's a problem, here's your $100. It's a corporation, it's a write-off. Knock on the door. All right, the lease agreement says I got to give them notice. I want to check and inspect the property. All right, called them up. Let's inspect. That's what we're allowed to do. Every standard agreement says you can give them notice to inspect, period. Okay? I've never had a problem because I deal with people professionally. But I make them agree to pay the rent. If you don't agree to pay the rent, then we have a problem, do we not? That's not fair. There are 2 attorneys that I know of that literally file bankruptcy for people, let them stay in your property, and then they file bankruptcy for the spouse, then the children, and they like to let you them stay in your property for 2 years for free. Okay? I think they should be disbarred, but they get away with it all the time. It's not fair. Luckily, and I like it, to believe it or not, I like the fact that personal bankruptcy code is being changed. Okay? Because corporation sales will go up. Because if you're not a corporation, all right, you'll get sucker punched as you. Is that correct? We will now sell 10 times the corporations that we normally sell on an average base because people know by being themselves isn't going to be any fun. So we can go through this process. We make sure that lease agreement is set up for the A and the B. Got to. Collateral agreement, pledging the assets. The UCC1 has to be set up. We've got to be able to foreclose. This is the form you're going to use. By the way, the debtor doesn't have to sign it. The debtor never has to sign the UCC1. It just has to be signed by the secured party with the agreement that says they pledged their assets. So after they've done so, all right, they're all happy. We're all happy as long as they pay us. If they don't pay us, will we stay happy? No, we'll get aggressive. We'll use the UCC1. They're the debtor. All right, leasee, leaser. I figure we can figure that out, huh? We're the leaser, secured party, to the leasee of them. And it allows individuals' name here. But the secured party is a corporation. This corporation is going to be the meanest corporation to this person if they don't pay the rent. What do you think? We're going to get our money. We're not going to allow anybody to take advantage of us. We cannot. We will not. As we look at it, when we finance a piece of property, you can find people that want basically 75%, they'll loan you money. They're all going to give you a bad time. Everybody's going to give you a bad time when you buy property. You can't do this. Give me a break. Okay? If I want it bad enough, I'll buy it. I'll quitclaim deed it to a division right after the fact. Or I'll quitclaim deed it the same day. How many of you are married? Is your house joint? Why? That means if any one of you screw up, you both have a problem because they foreclosed on the house. Is that correct? All right? It'll take you 6 months to a year to go buy another property because you just went through bad times. Is that correct? My house is in my name. It's not in my wife's name. I have a prenuptial agreement. She will do her job. She will take care of me. If not, I will fire her. That's the way it works. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Yeah, right.
Is that a correct? In his dreams. But the reality is, the reason when I closed escrow, it's in my name is, what if I screw up? I challenge the system, do I not? I challenge the IRS. I challenge your credit reporting agencies. They love to beat me up. Okay? But if I screw up, it doesn't affect her personal credit. She can go buy a new house. The word or and, you're going to learn from me that I don't agree with it. I don't agree with and, I don't agree with or. The living trust the house goes into, and that house can be set up under the second corporation or the first, and there's a promissory note and everything else to protect it, and she can take over the living trust if I die. Okay? We've already have it set up, so it doesn't affect her. Think about what you're doing to your family right now. If one of you gets screwed up, or you're both screwed up. If you're both screwed up, you got to figure out how to redo things. You got to re-separate it. It's like buying those properties. Everybody's going to go, oh, we'll only loan you 75%. That means you got to put 25% down. All right? Or if you have a seller, they got to carry back a second trust deed. Unless it's a fixer-upper really below property, below value. You have no choice. All right? So what do? We got to realize something. I want all of you to obtain $100,000 of corporate credit. The idea is $200,000. If you have $200,000 of credit, can you write a check for a piece of property? Yes or no? Okay? I want you to focus on $200,000. I want you to be able to write a check for $200,000. Okay? I don't care if you're the CFO. I don't care if you find a CFO. I don't care if you do a new file. I don't care what you do to fix the past. You need a check for $200,000. I can show you Costco. They'll give you $95,000 right off the bat. You can write a check. Okay? Certain accounts. The moment you have the first 3 or 4 properties, you make some money. Okay? You put that $200,000 in the bank. Get to the point you use corporate credit to buy the first couple of properties. Wherever you got to buy them, buy them. The proceeds, get $200,000, get it in a CD as fast as possible. Get the $200,000 on the first 3 to 5 properties in a CD. Make the bank give you a line of credit for $200,000. Can you walk around with a check for $200,000? They will not charge you interest until you write a check. They will not charge you what till you write a check? Interest. If you pay it back in 30 days, they don't charge any interest. Okay? So what do we need to do? When we write a check, we pay cash. Should we get a better deal? Okay? Can we get discounts all over the place? Do we have to put up with these loan people? My God, I don't like them. They're like used car salespeople. I know there's a couple in the room. Sorry about that. Okay? But that's the way it works. Come on. We know this. Okay? Oh, we can get you this house as long as you charge you 3 points. Okay? We can get you this house, but because of your credit. Oh, give me a break. Okay? You're fired. You're fired. I write a check for the property. I got the property. When I write a check, can I put it in a division? Can I put it in a corporation? I get to do what I want to do. Okay? We have to get $200,000 of credit. Because then we can tell the whole world where to go. Is that correct? Okay? Then we exercise our $200,000, and then we buy the property, pay cash, we fix it up, we refinance it. We look at the property. If there's an excess money, when we refinance it, it's one to keep. Is that correct? That's a division in Nevada. If there's no excess money and we sell it, pay off all the creditors, and make $20,000 or $30,000, where's the money go? Okay? Your goal is to flip that property in 30 days or less. Refinanced or fixed up and sold. You got 30 days to do it because you don't want to pay any interest, do you? Okay? Don't pay interest. Use the money, have the control. And every time you make profits, it goes where? Where's the money go? It goes back in Nevada, but it goes into the parent company's CD account. Eventually, I want you to write a check for $500,000. I want you to write a check for $500,000. Are you ever going to use corporate credit again? You don't need to use it, do you? Okay? Will it be safety? Use it for safety. Use the corporate credit to fix up the properties. Don't use the cash. Never use the cash. Okay? The cash is to buy the property. The corporate credit is to fix it up. Because when you close escrow, what do they have to pay off? The corporate credit cards. Okay? We can all fight to get that $200,000. Okay? Even if we have to go different accounts. Key Bank, I can get them to give me $50,000. They came out with a program for $40,000 and they put the money in your account. It's $95,000. Okay? Just at Key Bank. From here I can go over to Bank of America. No tax return, no financials, or 50 grand. Okay? What if you only get 100 grand? Then you start buying properties that cost what? 100 grand. Okay? Until you build it to 150. You might only buy properties that are worth 75,000. You might have to go over to Hemet and buy a piece of property. Okay? Hell, go to Havasu. I can get you a house for $65,000. The snowbirds will rent it out. They'll pay the whole damn rent for the whole year. Okay? And what did you do? You got a house you can play in the summer. Okay? Called what? A business trip. That's all we got to do. From here, we look at basically, going down the list, all right, Samoa Bank. No tax returns, no financials, but they send an inspector. Please don't have Samoa or Vivian come over there until you have an office set up. Okay? That's not a problem from there. MBNA, $25,000. MBNA is great. They send you a checkbook every week, every month when you get a bill. You get checks in that thing. All right? I love their checks. From here, Union Bank, 25 to 50. These are the things we focus on getting. I don't care if you got to guarantee it. I don't care if you got to fix your credit. I don't care if you got to get a new file. All I care about is you get it. You got to get a CFO to get it started, you get your CFO. You got to bring a partner in, you bring a partner in. Whatever it takes to get to the point of $200,000, you do. The moment you get the $200,000 of cash, anybody who helped you, what can you do to them? You're fired. Thank you. Okay? You're fired. Thank you. Have a nice day. Okay? Money puts you in control. You know that. as you close the escrow. All right, Tuesday and Wednesday, always. Don't you ever close an escrow but on a Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay? You close it on Thursday, you put it off the next week. You know what happens when you close escrow? The clock starts to what? Tick. We don't do that anymore. We got to close by Wednesday noon, period. You can't close, and they call you up. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't close till tomorrow. Excuse me, you're not closing till next Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay? I don't want you to close now. You screwed up. You tell that escrow company, because they change the rules as they go. They stress you out more than anybody in the world. Okay? Because no matter what, I don't know, they just want to stress you out. Yes?
The option for the co-office space on the flyer for Tela,
Mhm.
I forgot the name of the company. Does that satisfy the inspector's needs? If you
Yes, it would. It would satisfy that too. The only difference is make sure you're in that office 3 days after you turn in the application. They don't tell you they're showing up. Okay? Make sure you're doing your homework there, whatever it takes. All right? You're doing the business. Now, to fix up the property, do you use the cash to fix it up? The answer is no. Don't you dare use your cash. Okay? Don't you dare use your cash. J.C. Penney's commercial account, Sears commercial account, Home Depot commercial account, Lowe's commercial account, Levitt's. Okay? You know what's really weird? I find properties, and I actually have properties that I put the furniture in. I rent them out with furniture. Okay? Because you know what happens? All right? I get the money as an executive from their employer. I make their employer guarantee the rent. Okay? I have a lot of properties that I actually lease to major corporations because their executives come into town. Okay? And when they come into town, is IBM going to pay the bill? They signed a collateral agreement, they better. Okay? So don't just think about the average Joe Blow. All right? Think about companies. Do big companies need to rent out properties for their executives? All the time. All right? So what we do is we look at these things. Get direct lease. Get express lease, preferred lease, smart card. You've got to have the money to fix up the property. But you do not use the cash that bought the property. You never want to be cash poor. When you're cash poor, are you backed into a corner? Every time you're backed into a corner and you cannot make it work. It isn't fair to any of us. We've got to make sure we work this as we work this process. Is there any questions I haven't covered so far? Yes.
You know, like you said about the 30 days you don't have to pay interest, and that's true like on Home Depot and stuff.
Right.
Every time I've gotten commercial lines of credit, it starts from the day you take the money.
Depends on the checkbook. It depends. It's like when I look at anything else for like KeyBank. On the checkbook, I don't have to pay anything and starts the interest after 30 days. Okay? There will be different accounts that do different things for you, yes. Bank of America, I get a checkbook. I don't have to pay interest. I can use the money. They'll compound the interest after the 30 days and the payment's due. You just got to pay it before the payment's due. But if you got to pay the minimum payment, pay it. Okay? I mean, under $200,000, the payment should be less than $1,500 a month anyway. Okay? And it's still a write-off to the corporation. And escrow can take care of things. The only thing I don't want you to do is the typical scenario. You buy a piece of property, all right? You take 3 months to fix it up because you want to go paint it yourself. You want to put the appliances yourself. You want to put the nice little flowers in yourself and the grass and everything else. Give me a break. You're going broke. Okay? You've got a clock ticking. The faster you turn it, the faster you can rent it out, the faster you can sell it. Make sure it's turned around in 5 days. Set up the divisions to do the things you need to do. Okay? Make sure there's a division for carpet, appliances, everything else. Levitt's alone will let you set up a commercial account for all the dinged equipment they have. I can go to Levitt and say, I want to buy all the dinged refrigerators you have. Okay? Washers, dryers, furniture, I don't care what it is. If I'm renting out a piece of property and I need to put up appliances, do I got to give them the top of the line? Okay? Or do I give them something that works? Something that works. So that's important. So, yes.
Ray, thank you. I'm building my corporate credit again, and it's doing well. I just have a question.
Good.
On some of these, it says like you always have to put down your social security number.
Some of them say yes, but some say to review credit. Some say to guarantee credit.
Okay.
So you look at the two. Go ahead.
My question is, let's say hypothetically if something ever goes wrong and you have to pay that division,
If it's a guarantee, yes. If it's a review, no. But also remember, anything you guarantee, if you did, there is what's called debtor's insurance. You can literally insure your debts. It's a write-off to the corporation. But the greatest gift after you're working and now you're getting the corporate credit, it's working, is to make sure that you know it doesn't show up on personal credit report. I mean, it's so nice to know that if we have corporate credit, no matter how I had to get it, it doesn't hurt my loan to value. Okay? The inquiries after I get something doesn't hurt me either. And I can go get more. Okay? Nobody wants your corporation to be the bank besides me. I want your corporation to have $200,000 of credit. I don't care if it takes 4 accounts, 2 accounts, 1 account. I want to buy a piece of property under a division or corporation. I want to write a check. Okay? I want to find a good piece of property, and I can write a check, I get a better discount. Okay? I want to be in control. I don't want to hire a mortgage person. Okay? Mortgage people want to make my life harder than it needs to be. Okay? It's no fun doing that. So, did you have a question, ma'am? No. Okay? Yes.
I'm not clear about the paperwork for divisions for a nonprofit. How do you establish those divisions?
Division's the same way, but remember, if it's nonprofit, it is here. If it's a piece of property, it is here. All right? The only thing is, I want both worlds. This is profit. This is nonprofit. Maybe I have divisions to do that too, and that's fine. When I see a piece of property, I have to size it up. If I ran an ad, I got a list on the tax liens. I got to banks. I got to cities. I got on the green list. Okay? I see a piece of property. You know, I can't make much, but I'll tell you what, I can do this under nonprofit, fix it up, get the labor for free, work it, top of that Section 8, and I could probably hold the property for 5 years and the value will go up. Okay? Now the nonprofit does it. The government guarantees the rent. I help my community, and I work, and every time I had the nonprofit, I had to fix it up. I hire the profit company to do so. I work in conjunction. Everybody wins. Okay? And then I'm going to hire all the kids from high school. Okay? Because school kids have to do their 40 hours minimum to graduate high school. And then I'm going to work within the city. Then I'm going to make the Chamber of Commerce sponsor the nonprofit. Okay? Once I get embedded into the city, every property the city takes back, who are they going to call? They're going to call us. Because we're working within the city. Okay? Do it, and I'll tell you what, it'll change the city, it'll change the outlook, and everybody in the city get to know you. And that's kind of nice. All right? And then you can use that for your gain as well. And then you work with other people doing things. So it works. Any other questions from there? Yes?
So if you own a rental in a corporation, who takes advantage of the depreciation?
All right, corporation does. Okay? The only thing you could ever do for you is have 2 properties anyway. Okay? I mean, what good is the third property going to help you for depreciation anyway for write-offs? Your house is in your name. Secondary property, all right, that might be that 26-foot boat. As long as it has a porta potty, a stove, and a sink, it's a write-off as a secondary house like an RV. Okay? From there, maybe it's a house somewhere else. But a third house doesn't help you anyway. Okay? But it's a rental property. All right? I will never have a secondary house as a rental property that I don't live in as a write-off. Because then I have liability. Who's going to get sued if they slip and fall? Who's going to slip if they don't pay the rent? Okay? I would rather have a second property that I can play with, use for personal, protect the equity, and get it as a write-off at the same time. I won't rent out properties under me, ever. Okay? I can't afford to do that to my family. Okay? Yes?
If you own property already, do you have to transfer it to the net?
The problem is, if you own property already, if you change the deed, okay, they reassess property taxes. Okay? How long do you want to keep the property?
Indefinitely.
Okay? Then here's the way. All right? Don't tell anybody, but it's a good way. Okay? Under your corporation, I want you to set up a division of yourself. I want you to transfer the deed of you to your corporation's deed of you. They will not reassess property taxes. Huh?
Explain that one more time.
Well, what happens is, here's the deed. All right, Ray Reynolds. If I change this to Ray Reynolds Enterprises, all right, the name really didn't change, but it stayed the same name, so they won't reassess tax. Okay? So what happens is, I took the liability off of me, did I not? It's like what I do for some attorneys that are talking about real estate right now. Same thing about cars. If we were to take our car pink slip, I tell you not to change a registered owner. Is that correct? But if you made a division of yourself and changed a registered owner, they can't reassess tax. You just took the liability of the car off of you too. Okay? You should all have divisions of yourself in the future. Is that correct? Especially you people in this room who had companies named after you, which is about 20% of you, by the way. All right? Because you know you did that in the past. Because why? Most of you in this room are men. And you have macho syndrome. Okay? Because you always want to name it after you. That's no fun. All right? Any other questions from there? Yes, ma'am.
How do you get a hold of Key Bank?
KeyBank, all you have to do is grab their application. All right, on their application itself, what's going to happen is there's a phone number for KeyBank as well. As we go through that process, I probably have their phone number right here. Okay?
I haven't been able to find anything on it at all.
Oh, that's terrible. 1-888-Key-4-BIZ. So 1-888-Key-4-BIZ. Then they have a nice website. Okay? BIZ, yeah. And what happens is, this checkbook here is kind of nice. It's only worth $94,000. Why did I go after only 94? Because $100,000 they wanted a guarantee. Okay? I kept under the limit. If you tell me I can get $2,000 without guaranteeing it, how much am I getting? $2,000. Because I'm going to exercise it every 90 days and make it grow up. Is that correct? If you make me guarantee, forget it. If I like it enough, maybe I will guarantee it. All right? And do that. Have the insurance behind it as well. Both ways will work. But I will get what I want one way or another. Okay? Yes?
Is it okay when you're starting to build the corporate credit to guarantee it to get
What happens is, I'd say 85% of our clients have good credit. What I don't want to see you do is guarantee the little stuff. Okay? I don't mind you guarantee a line of credit or some kind of good account. That's fine. The $50,000. The little stuff, Office Depot, Staples, don't you dare. Okay? That way you get a couple inquiries over here, but it never shows up on your personal credit report. Okay? A lot of clients will guarantee, build the score, go back, reapply with no guarantee, take the one they didn't guarantee and pay off the other one. What do credit cards allow us to do? Pay off other credit cards. Is that correct? Everyone's allowing us to do that for debt consolidation. Now we transfer the debt to the corporation to protect the family because they're changing bankruptcy code. Yes, way back there. Well, there's a debtor's insurance, and the Small Business Association actually has a list how you can insure debts. Okay? Not only do the creditors provide that, but then they say if you're disabled or blah, 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 we'll protect it. But there's actually companies through surety bonds that protect the actual debts. You can insure your debts just like a house payment or anything else. So you can pay for it. All right? Just kind of like when I do offshore. I will insure debts offshore or the principal. Okay? In case the offshore country, something changes, I still want my principal back. And it's a write-off to that. So there is many companies that do what's called debtor's insurance. Okay? And that's important as well. It'll protect the liability if somebody would sue on those rental properties, yes. Also, if you protect the equity. We've got to protect all of that because if we don't, they're going to come after us if there's a problem. All I know is we want the American dream. We want to play the game, and if we get caught, we don't want to have the liability. Getting caught is having somebody sue us for no reason. Getting caught is they're not paying the rent. Okay? All I know is we want to play the American dream, and we got to free up our time and go get it. But as we go get it, we find everyone telling us we can't do what we're going to do anyway. And then as you start working it, as this one gentleman has credit now and he's working this, or another person's doing this, this gentleman over here, all right, I know he's doing some real estate stuff as well. He's also, I don't know, a college professor, school teacher as well, are the things that they do. Okay? As they work things, all right, they realize that people who tell them no are people who don't know how. Then when they work it, it goes, you know, this wasn't as hard. It's like my lady yesterday is closing her house under a division. She goes, Ray, I thought it was impossible, but I just had to get over the fear. It actually worked. Okay? She goes, now I'm closing escrow. All right, this week. Now let's go get another one. She goes, I wanted to see how good we do first. Excuse me? Should we wait? All right, or should we go do 3 more? Okay, shouldn't we have 3 things in the hopper at all times? All right, let's get aggressive. What's the worst thing that can happen? One of the divisions screw up. So what? Okay, why do 1 at a time? That's no fun. We got to get aggressive. We got to work it. Okay, that's what we got to do. Yes.
Ray, the rental monthly cash excess, 250, 750, 1,500.
That's right.
That's after the mortgage is paid?
That's after everything. That's Gardner. That's mortgage. That's anything and everything that has to be paid, period. Okay? That's excess. That's going in a savings account, sitting there. We got to remember, the first 6 months of someone paying rent usually has no problem paying on time. The 7th month is where that itch comes in. I guess it's kind of like a marriage. After 7 years of marriage, there's a 7-year itch. There's a 7-month itch to basically paying rent. You got 6 months of $250 a month or whatever those numbers are being sitting in the account. You got to have some safety. If you don't have safety, you're going to steal from someone else. You can't steal from someone else, okay? Because you got to get enough time to get them out of the property, okay? We know in 60 days or less we can get someone out of that property. We can get them to a judge in less than 15 to 20 days, all right? We got to get someone else in that property, all right? We might even be selling it while they're sitting in the property because we have the right to do that too. It's part of our rental agreement. We just can't get to the point that we're carrying someone else. We did not adopt them. It's hard enough that we have to take care of our families at times. We do not want to take care of strangers. That's what their families are for, correct? Let them bleed them for a while. Okay? That's the way it works. From here, we're done. I want you to work your program. I want you to think about going after that $200,000. I want you to work it. I want you to consider the nonprofit as we go through it, or the profit. Okay? Either way, we need to go get properties. What you should all do right away is call HUD. Okay? Get a hold of them. Get on their website. Because we can get a hold of HUD right away, find out what properties we can look at, your local city, see what tax liens were taken from there, get a hold of the state, figure what properties they have as well. You might find an old school to an old building sitting there that you could turn into something. Okay? And that's going to be pretty important to you. We've got to start working these things. Don't leave this class without having a game plan next week. Okay? Make sure your game plan is to contact these things, and let's find out our first property. All of you within the next 10 days should be at a HUD auction. Okay? Just watching how it goes. All right? So you can learn. Because we can all call 1-800-856-1170 or 1160 at any time, and we can be added to that list, get a HUD key, and start looking at auctions, what need to be done. Let's go start playing, and then let's get serious about it. We got to work our game plan. That's 1-800-856-1170 or 1160. And that's the number you want to use to get a hold of them. But also check with your state and your cities. Okay? And then decide you want to do nonprofit or profit. Both ways work. I'm always going to have both ready for me because you're going to get to that situation, you're going to kick yourself, go, God, I wish I had this one too because this probably works really good for nonprofit. Or this one works really good for profit. All right? You got to have all your tools ready to go. Okay? And if you don't, also the next thing you should do is go get a hold of a standard lease agreement. There is a standard, it's what it's actually called. It's a standard lease agreement. Title companies have them on the shelf. You can get them from a stationery store. Get a hold of the lease agreement. Get a hold of UCC 1. And get a hold of what's called an assignment of equity. And you want to make sure you have all these things set up and you're putting a notebook together. Every property you set up will have a separate notebook. Okay? And you will number your divisions and your properties and you will manage them that way. And you'll watch the history. Also, when you find a property, make sure you call a title company or a real estate agent. You want the local comps. Okay? You want a title search done. You do not want to believe anybody. You do not believe anybody. You get the comps, you get a title search done, and you know all about the property. Okay? The history of the property is very important to you. Without that history, you're running with blinders on. You can't do this. So from here, we'll see you next time. Okay?